Sorry for being overdressed.
No problem, no issues. Okay, so we are 9 people in the meeting.
Okay.
Wait, will that be fine? We wait for
Yeah, sure. We can wait for some time.
okay, 6:35 we'll begin, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Till the time we start, for the people who've already joined in, this is a session which I would say is universally useful. So, if you would like to request your friends or classmates to join in, they can still. If you can just share the link of the same meeting with them, especially regarding the placements and all, this would be a very vital session for everyone. So if you want to just have a quick catch up with your friends and ask them to join the session, it would be really useful for them. We'll start by like in a minute, 6:35. Okay, may I begin? Ma'am Aurora, can I begin now? Will that be fine with you? Ma'am, you aren't audible. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, please. I think there was some internet glitch. Can you please
No.
start
Yeah.
again?
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Shivangi Chaturvedi, Advantages India Digital Media Executive. I'm delighted to have Dr. Rashna Arora, PhD IITR, as our evening's guest. Before I say anything, I'm ecstatic and honored to have her as our visitor. To begin, we must first define soft skills, the topic that we have for today. Why is it given the same weight as that of your subject knowledge or technical knowledge? We will unlock numerous chance doors to the unknown skill that many of us are roaming without correct instruction and understanding on this wonderful evening that ma'am has given time for. And before that, I just like to introduce the guest to everybody in very brief. She's an assistant professor, communication skills, School of Technology of Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University, Raizan, Gandhinagar. And with that, before I begin with the questions, I'd like to hand over to ma'am. We just like to know your journey, your brief introduction from you, and how do you feel the topic is essential, especially pertaining to the online world of today.
Thank you so much, Shivangi. And this is one of my, though it is one of the most seeked of skills today, right? And as Shivangi very rightly said, that this is equally having the equal importance as your technical skills or your subject knowledge, And this is moreover not, I will not talk about the topic because it is relevant in current times, but I will also talk because it is very close to my heart. I did a very big example that I can give it to you is that I did my PhD from English literature, right? And that too from IIT Roorkee, one of the technical institutes. But then the job that I am handling now, and not only this job, throughout my career journey, I found that my core subject had not been in the forefront. It was my soft skills that were on the forefront, and everybody wanted
what
that.
is? तुमने पूरे
Right?
टोस्ट खा लिए प्रफुल तुमने पूरे टोस्ट खत्म कर दिए
Ankit Raj, I would request you to please unmute yourself.
Yes. So, it's not about, and soft skills is not something that is going to give you success only in your career, but in your life, right? This is like, I am 42 now, right? And this complete 42 years, the journey at every moment, if I go back and recollect my from childhood till this age, and through my education to my job, every point I realized that it was my soft skills that gave me an edge above, right? That gave me a more opportunities, due to which I am at a place where I am. And when we will be discussing further on the questions that you have, or the moderator is going to have the question, you will understand that how it is important and how it is relevant. Maybe because on the onset you may feel that something what I am saying is not very practical, right? But then before I get into the further conversation, I will give you one formula which I don't say that you agree to it, it's your choice, but then please try to think about this formula in your life, and if you find it correct, please imbibe it, right? And this is my formula. And the formula for success, I know success is something very subjective in nature. Everybody has their own definition of being successful. Somebody getting a job is successful, somebody getting a house is successful, right? So I don't say that I am going to limit the success here with this formula, but as far as we all are attending this session just because we want to grow professionally, or we want to have success in this professional world. So from that professional perspective, I'm going to give you a formula of success, which is my tested formula, right? And that success according to me is equal to getting a career, whatever career you are willing to. Maybe you want to become an engineer, you want to become a doctor, you want to become an IS officer, whatever is your career. The first success is equal to that you get that career. And to get that career, maybe 80%, if you I don't
I think there's some network issue because of which ma'am got disconnected, if I'm not wrong. Hold on, guys. Just be patient for a while. I'll just sort out what exactly has happened. We'll just get back in a moment.
Okay, we are waiting.
Yeah, ma'am will be joining in just a minute, within a minute. So please wait patiently. We'll just be there. Thank you. By that time, since all of you who have joined in are already aware of the topic, and as ma'am she almost completed the introduction. So you must have come in with certain questions in your mind. So by that time, we can utilize the time, and we can go ahead. You guys can type your questions in the chat box on the public forefront, and like we can begin with the questions that you guys have, and then whatever questions I have, I can go forward with them. So till the time she's coming back and sorting out the network issues, you guys can just type in your questions that you have, and we will take that and start with them. Yes, the recording would be available, Ankit. The session is being recorded, and it would go up on YouTube on the Advantage India YouTube channel. So you can have a look there.
I think there is some internet issue. I kept on speaking, and I think that people were not able to hear me.
Yes, it was like 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but then I think this will happen more frequently. So we know one of the most important soft skills regarding online platform is having patience. As a speaker, also I need to have a patience, because anywhere this internet or technology can have a glitch, right? And as a attendant, also as attendees, also you should have a patience. So in case I log out, please don't be panic, or don't have certain judgments about it, right? It's not me, it's the technology, right? Thank you, Shivangi. Over to you.
No problem, ma'am. Shall I begin with the questions? Though I've asked the audience if they'll have any doubts within the session, they'll drop it in the chat box so we can take it alongside. So shall I begin with the questions?
Yes, sure, please.
Okay. So as we all know, soft skills are the domain independent sort of topic. And as you rightly said, they have gained popularity alongside the domain hard skills and the technical knowledge. For instance, for an engineer, it's completely out of the domain. So what could be the reason that recently soft skills have become so important in such a short period of time that we actually see people looking forward to sessions where they can learn more about it, read more about it, and suddenly it has gained, that popularity that now it's a necessity. It's a sudden realization. So what is the reason according to you?
Thank you, Shivangi. And a very relevant question. Before learning anything, you should know why I am learning, right? So this is a very relevant question that comes to your mind, that if people today say that soft skills are necessary to be successful, it means that why our parents, aren't they not successful? They are successful, and we have people from traditional generation, they are too successful, but they never had soft skill sessions, right? But we need it. As time changes and technology changes, the scenario and the requirement also changes. But then in the last few decades, we have seen that it has a very, very fast transformation, right? And the reason behind, I think you all are well aware that how fast technology is changing. And one of the biggest results of this fast changing world is that knowledge is very easily accessible. Today, you have YouTube videos. Even if you are not going to a college, you can learn through YouTube videos, right? So knowledge is very freely and easily accessible. You can anytime, anywhere can get access to the knowledge. So what happens if knowledge is easily accessible? Then the number of competent candidates increases. Today, earlier in my father's time, or maybe in your father's or grandfather's time, hardly 4 or 5 people were engineers, or 4 or 5 people in a society were, or in a colony were doctors. But if we look today, every house has 2 engineers, and if there are more number of members, then we have 2 engineers and 2 doctors. Every family has, right? So the number of competent people have increased, whereas it's not that the companies have not increased. Companies have also increased, but today the issue is that how to, and today the world has become very manipulative. Think about yourself. How do you design a resume? You are very smart. you know what to write in a resume. You're not writing everything real there, right? But companies are smarter than you, you know. They also know, they want you to write all those things, but they also want to know your real self, what type of an individual you are. Because, you know, technical skills, why soft skills are overpowering technical skills today, you know, because technology is changing fast. Whatever you are learning today may not be existing tomorrow in the market. But, you know, skills, and especially your attitude, is also a soft skill, right? If you don't have an attitude, so how are you going to learn if you don't have a learning approach? So how, after 5 years, when technology changes, how you are going to learn that change? And if you don't have soft skills, if you're not ready to change your approach, if you're not ready to unlearn, you know, learning is important, but unlearning is more important, right? So this is the reason why soft skills are gaining momentum today, because, you know, technical skills are very momentary. It's now, we all know that the coming times are times of AI, coming times are times of machine learning, right? So if you don't have that approach, if you don't have that flexibility in your approach, you will not be able to survive in that market, you know. So therefore companies require people with soft skills. Everybody is looking with soft skills, because soft skills are something which gives flexibility to an individual to mold, to change according to the changing technology and according to the changing times. This is, I think, the main reason behind and due to the competition, differentiating between two people has become really very difficult. Everybody has, like, if I ask how many of you are first divisional, I think all of you are first divisional, right? So how do I know that Jairaj is better than Ronaldo and Ronaldo is better than Sabina? You know, if I ask you a square plus b square is equal to, everybody will say a square plus b square plus 2ab. Same answer. How do I judge who is better, right? But if I ask, introduce yourself, right? Or if I give a problem to you, the way Jairaj solves the problem will be different. The way Ronaldo solves the problem will be different. And the way Sabina is going to solve the problem, it will be different. So, you know, there I can find out who is better, who is more competent than the other person. So definitely soft skills have an edge over your technical skills.
Rightly said. Now, ma'am, when the reboot sessions are going on, especially during placements, when we are preparing with, you know, the interview practices, I hear many of my classmates saying that every time we hear in the interview, improve on your soft skills. How much time and effort should be put in developing these skills? And how should we go about it? Because that is something which I come across many people who ask the teachers. It's a very common question.
Yes, thank you, Shivangi. And yes, you are very correct. You know, everybody talking about be positive, be positive. But how to be positive, nobody tells, right? Everybody talking about improve your soft skills, but how? How much time do you need? Nobody talks about it. You know, why people don't tell about it? Why people don't talk about it? The reason is that soft skills, we cannot limit the soft skills, you know. I cannot say that you need 6 days to learn a soft skills, or you need 6 months, right? Again, it depends. First, it depends on individual. Second, it depends upon the time. You know, today I am teaching you teamwork, right? Maybe tomorrow we get a setup, we get a work culture of such a type that we have individual working, right? So, you know, you have to be, therefore, you know, learning soft skills, only one thing you have to do. Instead of learning all different soft skills, you need to do one thing, that is, you should develop a learning approach, ready to learn, right? So that when, if today I need problem solving ability, I'm ready to accept it, I'm ready to learn it. Tomorrow I need to develop maybe teamwork or maybe individual tasking. That approach, the primary soft skill that you need is to make your approach very positive and flexible, you know, right? You can learn any soft skills, but soft skill is something, therefore, you know, companies may compromise at your technical skill when it comes to an interview. You know, if they ask you 4 questions on technical skill and you answer 3 or you answer 2, they will be okay with it. But if they ask you 2 soft skills questions or 2 general questions and you are not able to answer 1 or 2, they will not be ready to take you. Reason being, because they can teach you technical skill in a day or 2, or maybe 1 month training or 2 months training. They can limit it. They can quantify it, you know. But when it comes to soft skills, it is a very slow process. You need time to change. Therefore, now you might have seen that the soft skills have been started in the primary schools itself. Because it takes time. It is not that overnight journey that tomorrow I have an interview, today I take a capsule course on soft skills and it will be done. You need time, and therefore I will not give you that it takes only 15 days, but minimum, if you want me to tell you, minimum at least 1 to 2 months you need to take, so that there is some change in you, because the change will be very slow, right? So this is, I think that people should have, therefore, patience and flexibility. These two are the primary approaches, or these two are the primary soft skills that you will be needing. You should be flexible enough that you are ready to accept the change, right? If you know something and the time says that this is not we need something else, you should be ready to leave it and learn another thing, right? And another thing is that the patience. Don't think that, okay, I have attended a class on soft skills today, tomorrow I am going to be perfect. No, not at all. Maybe it is possible in technical skill that you practice throughout the night and tomorrow morning you are master of it, but not with the soft skills. You need time to spend on it, practice, right? Yes.
Exactly. Once it was rightly said by our faculty to me that in order to display technical skills in the interview, you first need to have the right amount of soft skills, and that sort of made a lot of sense.
Yes.
My next question is that, ma'am, for some people, English phrases, English vocabulary, and speaking in the right flattering tone is really important in the interview, and people find it very difficult that how to improve on the vocabulary, how to learn the right words, how to learn the right phrases to be used professionally. So how should we invest in that? What sources should we go for, so that we can, in that 1 to 2 months of time that we are speaking about, we can improve on that?
Okay. Thank you, Shivangi. But I'm really very sorry. I could see a question in the chat window by Vihar. So first I would like to address it and then I will
Sure.
come to your question. So Vihar is asking that, is soft skill important or technical skill is important at the time of interview? Vihar, see, I cannot say that a technical skill is more important, neither I can say that soft skill is important. There has to be a balance, but then, still I will say that if you have 10% of technical skill, you should have 20% of soft skills to get through, right? Because, well, the one of the most important soft skill that you need is communication, articulation. I know I have an Einstein mind, I have a Newton mind, but unless and until I speak it out, how do people know how intelligent I am? And speaking, communicating, and that too effectively itself is a soft skill. So, I will not say that technical skills is not important at the time of interview. You have different rounds, you have a technical round and you have an HR round, right? So both are important. But even in technical round, unless and until you articulate, and articulation, communication is a soft skill. I hope, Vihar, I make some sense to you. Vihar, if you can unmute and respond.
Yeah, ma'am, I get your point, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vihar. Yes. Now coming to Shivangi's question, where she says that people generally face a problem that the flow with the language, right? And not only the flow and the lack of flow, why people don't get that flow that they are desiring for, maybe because of the lack of ideas, or maybe the lack of vocabulary, or the lack of expression, And Shivangi had mentioned good vocabulary, right? Somewhere, effective vocabulary. So I will say that no vocabulary is bad vocabulary. The first thing that we need to understand is that every word is important. Now, the question is, we should have a differentiation between powerful word, concrete word, and abstract words. Powerful word means the word has a weightage. For example, look at the speech of Modi. How do he start? He starts with a word called mitro. Have you ever thought why he uses this word mitro? This is a very common word. You may call it a very, very, not a very good word, not a very important word, but this is a very powerful word. This word has a power. The moment I say you are my friend, automatically a sort of reservation comes to you. Reservation comes to you means if I commit a mistake, you are ready to accept it. The moment I say I am your teacher, you are ready to ready to go against me. And the moment I say I'm your friend, you're ready to cooperate with me, right? So see, the word is very powerful. Now I can give you another example. We have words like desire, want, passion, obsession, right? These are almost similar words, like, want, desire, passion, obsession. But each word has its own power. A car is named desire, a bike is named passion, endeavor, right? Don't you think why people have kept the name of a car to be desire? Because it has a delicate, the word desire is powerful, but with a delicacy. When we call passion, passion is a powerful word with a strength, with a strong impact, right? And bike is masculine. Bike is taken to be a masculine, though I'm not moving on to gender biasness. I'm not going to talk about it, right? But then, the strength, bike means even a lady is driving a bike. We feel the moment we see a lady driving a bike, we feel she is very strong. Why can't a delicate lady drive a bike, right? So passion is a word that means desire only, that means liking only, but it is more powerful than the word want, like, passion, right? So words are not good or bad. You have to look into the context in which you are talking to. If I'm talking to a layman, right? Suppose in this class, if I say, no, you are not layman, please don't take it like that. Means I want to bring to another point to you, that let me give you the example and then I will come to that point. Suppose in this class, if I say expectoration is prohibited. Now you may think that I have a very good language, I am a good communicator, but I will say no, I am not a good communicator when I say that expectoration is prohibited. Why I am not a good communicator? This expectoration word is a very beautiful word, very good word, but in this context, it is not a beautiful word. It is not a good word. It is a bad word. Why? Because my audience are not able to understand. The objective of communication is that the people to whom you are communicating, they should be able to comprehend you. They should understand what you are speaking, right? So whether I have used a highly rich vocabulary, that will make no sense. That word becomes zero. Work is equal to force applied and the displacement made by the body. If you have applied n number of force, but the displacement is zero, the work equals to zero. This is a very scientific formula, right? So same is with the communication. You have used a very rich, very hi-fi language, but your receiver is not able to comprehend you. That is useless. It means you do not have an effective communication, right? So maybe when this expectoration is a medical term, this is a jargon. A doctor may understand expectoration. If I speak to a doctor and I say that expectoration is prohibited, he will say good enough. She knows the vocabulary, the strong vocabulary. He will exactly get what I want to say, because expectoration means a spit mixture of saliva and mucus, right? So he will get, if I say that I am having expectoration, he will understand what I want to say. So there, this is a good vocabulary. But if I write it on a railway platform, expectoration is prohibited, people will come spit there and say, I don't know what is prohibited. Whereas on the platform, I have to write spitting is prohibited so that people can understand. And more, not only in English. If it is a Gujarati platform, it has to be in Gujarati. If it is a North Indian platform, UP platform, it has to be in Hindi. And moreover, there has to be a picture of a man spitting and a cross on it. Everybody is not educated, everybody is not literate, So communication is that picture also. So, don't worry about the vocabulary. All vocabulary is good. Only you need to see the context and your audience, whom you are talking to and what is your purpose. I'm talking to my boss. My objective is to impress him, right? And I can assume that he is a learned fellow, right? I can use a rich vocabulary. But when I talk to my students, I cannot do that. My objective is not to impress them. My objective is to make them understand, right? And I know that they are not of that level, that I go with that level to them. So that is, so basic, therefore we say that, and I love this word, tailoring. Communication has to be tailored. What does a tailor do? A tailor edits, cuts the cloth as per your size. He will never make it a size of his own. He will always make it a size of yours. And for that, we cut so many things out of it. So same is with us. When we want to be an effective communicator, we have to tailor our communication as per the context, as per the receiver. Who is my receiver and what is my context? What is my purpose of speaking? Right? One thing. But still, yes, we need vocabulary, good or bad, never matters, but a good quantity of vocabulary matters. I should have a good number of words in my mind so that when I want to use them, they just jump out from my mind, right? So how to do that? That is important. And I will never tell you that whenever you find a new word, write it in a diary with a meaning. I will never, never say this. Read as much as you can. And whenever you encounter a new word, new vocabulary, which is new to you, use it at least 5 times instantly. For example, today you have learned this word expectoration. Even if it is not needed, talk to your, and the best way is talk to your family. You first thing is that even if they mock you, you will not feel bad, right? Even if they judge you, you will not feel bad, and that hesitation will go. So go home and say that I think people should not expectorate. Definitely people in your home will ask, what is this expectorate? You can tell them. Once you have explained the meaning to somebody, the word becomes solid in your mind. You will never forget that word. So if you are using, intentionally create a conversation where you are using that word. If you do 5 times, I learn a word today and I use it very quickly, very promptly, 5 times, creating my own situation, whether that situation is needed or not, then that word will never, never go from your mind. And the best part will be, the word is not going to stay in your memory, but when you need that word, you will not realize, you will not think, it will automatically jump. Think of your mother tongue. When you talk in your mother tongue, do you need to think about words? You don't know how they come to your tongue. So instant, because you had been using them. Therefore, the moment you have a situation, they jump out of your mind. So if you want to have the same flow in English language with English vocabulary, therefore, you need to read a lot so that you come across new words. And when you're coming across new words, you need to use those words. And this is the best way that you can use. Intentionally use it. Even if somebody don't want to listen to you, use it, because it has to go out of your mouth. Once it is out of your mouth, it's in your mind. And whenever you will need it the next time, it will automatically jump out, right? I think that's my take on it.
Great. Now I would like slightly move to the resume side of questions that I have. So the resume or the CV is enough to provide the interview panel our initial expression, regardless of the academic performance. So, however, in most colleges, the sufficient instruction is not provided as to how to frame the right resume we played in the interview panel. So, when we go, there are plethora of sites, ma'am, where we come to, there are thousands of formats, and that leaves us perplexed. We get confused as to what to follow, what is the right one. So, what I thought we should make use of the opportunity, and can you enlighten us as to how to go about it and how to frame the right resume to be presented?
Yes, Shivangi, you are very correct. Today, when we have an advantage of this internet and Google, we have a disadvantage also. The moment you type a word, you get n number of information, and then it becomes really very difficult. It confuses you which one to take, which not to take, right? So I never tell my students. Yes, I suggest them that use Google. It's a great tool to you, right? But then when it comes to resume, I always tell my students to remember 2-3 things. And you don't need to look into the Google at all. And you are going to create a very impressive resume. How? One, because it is something which is professional, and there is one rule of professional communication. We are talking about communication, and as I told you that one of the most important soft skills is the communication skill, articulation, voicing, speech, right? So resume is a speech only, resume is a communication only. You are communicating your credentials to, or your candidature to somebody, right? So in the professional communication, there is a rule that says that you should be objective. Objective means when you are designing your resume, the first thing that should come to your mind is that I have to be objective. And the moment you say I have to be objective, what does it mean? It means that I am not going to put in the resume what I want to put. I am going to put the information what the people want to know about me. And who are the people? The people are the company that you are applying for, right? Therefore, I am strictly against the norm that you design one CV or one resume and use it every time. I am of the view that every time when you are applying, you have to tailor your CV. Every time you have to customize your resume, because every time your receiver is different. And being objective means, suppose I have to send my resume to Shivangi, right? So the first question that should come to my mind, I have to fill that information what Shivangi wants me to put, what Shivangi wants, right? And maybe next time I am going to give my resume to Jairaj, right? So how is it possible that what Shivangi wanted, same Jairaj is wanting that? No, Jairaj has different expectations from me. So when I am giving my resume to Jairaj, again I have to think what Jairaj wants, and I have to include the things which Jairaj wants. This is smartness that you need. So first thing is that be objective. And be objective means that always first think who is your receiver, what he or she wants, what is the company, what company wants. Now, how do I know what company wants? A big question. Can people please mute themselves? Sanhita, Shivangi, can you mute the audience from your end?
Yeah, I'll just ask Advantage India, please.
Thank you. I
Please
think people
mute
have muted.
others. That would be fine. Even if they're not doing it deliberately, it's causing this.
Yes. So how to know what my receiver wants from me. So the best thing, whenever you are knowing your receiver is very important. And how do we are talking with respect to the company, because we are talking about a resume, right? Even internship, then again it's a company, right? So you have to do a research. And what is that research? It's not a big research, it's a very small research that you need to do. And what you need to do, you need to go to the website of the company for which you are applying. And in the website, I will tell you selected areas where you need to go and search. Go to the vision statement of the company, go to the mission statement of the company, go to the about us section of the company. These three areas of the website are to be visited. And when you are going through, please jot down the keywords that they are using, the words that they are using again and again. For example, maybe a company is saying that they want to develop environmental friendly software, or their mission, their vision is social development. Maybe any phrase you find, note that. So take out that social development, environmental friendly, and keep them aside, right? In the same manner, go to the about us section, right? See what company is telling about themselves. We are very dedicated, we are concerned about people's safety, or we care about people's privacy, right? What are they writing there? Take out some keywords from there. Now you will have 6 to 7 keywords. Now what you need to do is, when you are designing your resume, you have to use this. Not only when you are designing your resume, when you are introducing yourself, or when the question like tell us something about yourself comes to you, you have to somewhere align these words with your candidate, right? For example, so maybe a company has written that they are concerned about people's safety, right? So maybe you can make it your strength, that my strength is that, or my motto of life is this, right? Or you may talk about any of your strengths like that, right? Or maybe your career objective. In your career objective, you can use this, that I believe in this, or I will be contributing this to the company, right? So maybe in the career objective, maybe in your professional statement means when you talk about what type of professional you are, what are the traits, what are the professional, we all have two personalities, social personality and professional personality. What I am looking to you, the way I am communicating to you, the way I am formal to you, I will not be that formal or that communicative with my family or with my friends. Maybe sometimes we come across such words when some of my friends appreciate me, or my boss appreciates me. My father says that take her for a few days, keep her with you for a few days, and then tell me, is she the same? Why? Because my as a social being, I have different traits, and as a professional being, I have different traits, right? So when you write your professional statement, that what type of professional person am I, right? Like dedicated, hardworking, sincere. We are not this in our social lives. Please go back, check it, right? You're not the same with your mom. You're not very hardworking with your mom. You're not very dedicated, sincere with your mom, right? But you are at the official front, right? So when you're writing your professional statement, the keywords that you have seen in the vision, mission statement and about a section, you can use those words in your professional statement, right? Why to do that? Connect people, company, like, how do you make friends? How when I make a friend, I can be a good friend with Ronaldo, but maybe I may not go well with Javed. Reason being because Ronaldo and I connect somewhere. Maybe some of his traits, some of his likings or dislikes matches mine, so we become friends. But Javed, none of the things, none of the aspect matches, so we never become friends. Same is when we are applying for a company and when company is going through our resume. If they can connect themselves with you, they already have a favorable image of yours. They have 10%, they have already decided to take you, to hire you, because they have already made a connect with you. They feel that we will get along well, right? So this is called objective, being objective. So first is you have to be objective. Objective means you have to think that what company wants from me. And how are you going to find out what company wants from me? It's when you go through the job profile, job description, JD, right? What they have written in the JD and their vision, mission, and about us section. You can have keywords and then use them in your career objective, professional statement, in your introduction, in your strengths, right? So this is how you are going to be objective. The second thing is that for a professional communication, whether it is writing or whether it is speaking, I have a rule: good news first, bad news later. Good news first, given more space; bad news later, given less space. Look at the advertisements. What do? Buy one, get one free is in the big bold alphabets on the top of the hoarding. And conditions apply is very small, written at the bottom of the hoarding. They never say conditions apply on the top and buy one, get one free at bottom. Why? Good news first, bad news later. Good news is buy one, get one free. Bad news is there are specific conditions. When do you get buy one, get one, right? So when you are designing your resume, it is a marketing tool. You are going to sell your skills with your resume. It is a marketing document. You are selling yourself with the help of the resume. So good news first. Now, what is the good news? It's not same for everybody. Everybody has a different good news to give. For example, if I am academically very sound, throughout I am first divisioner, I have gold medalist, and I have not only done my graduation, I have done post-graduation, I have done MPhil, I have done postdoc, I have done doctorate, I have conferences. So, this becomes the good news for the company, right? So good news first, it means that when I start my resume, right after the career objective and professional statement, I'm going to put the educational qualification. Why? Because this is something good that I can offer to them. But maybe Sanita has good soft skills. She's good at communication skills. Or maybe she had done a very good internship, or maybe her project was very good. She has worked on a very recent project which the world is going through, or which the world is looking towards, right? She has done a project. So for Sanita, the good news to give to the company is her project or internship. For Ronaldo, it is the soft skills. For Javed, it is the education. For Jyoti Moy, maybe I'm pronouncing your name wrong, so please pardon me for that. So Jyotinmay, maybe for Jyotin, the good news is his technical skills, right? So for everybody, whatever is the good news in your candidature, whatever is the good news in your complete information profile, you need to put that first after your professional statement, right? And if you want, I think we don't have that much time. Otherwise, I could share, like, there are, in a resume, we have 10 to 12 things that you need to include, right? Right from your personal details to your professional skills or your organizational skills, your awards and credentials, your technical skills, your professional skills, your educational qualifications, right? Your references, declarations, that 10, near about 10 things that you need to include. But your resume should, the sequence has to be tailored, and everybody will have their own sequence. as I told you, career objective, everybody will have on the top, professional statement, everybody will have the second, but then after this, everybody will have their own sequence. Somebody putting their education first, somebody putting their experience first, somebody putting their soft skills first, somebody putting their technical skills, depending upon what is good news with you to give to the company. Right? So this is how you need to frame. And if you remember these three things, that I have to be objective, I have to design my resume as per the requirement of the person who is in front of me. Right? I'm not saying tell lie, but I am saying be smart enough, change the language. For example, suppose this is a meeting, right? I'm a speaker, I enter late in the meeting. Rather than starting my talk and saying, sorry, I am late, I can also say that, thank you for the patience. See, I have said the same thing, but when I say sorry, my mistake is highlighted. But when I say thank you for the patience, audience are given the privilege. Audience will never think that I am late. They will be happy that I am giving importance to them. So, when I am saying that be objective, think what the employer wants from you, that means that you have to be smart enough how you can include their need in your profile. How can you weave that, the keywords and the phrases that they have mentioned, how can you weave them in your career objective, professional statement and strength, so that they form a connect with you. And once the connect is formed, you have already created an image for yourself. You've already the 20% favor has already been made to you, right? So this is how you need to frame. Second, so first is objective. Second, always think that your resume is an advertisement, pure advertisement. How are you going to advertise yourself? Good thing first. You want to tell good thing to the people, not the bad thing. People will buy your product, people will buy your skills only if it sounds good. So find ways, make it like an advertisement, that how you highlight your goods, how you give more details about your good, how you give more space and the primary space, the starting space to your good, right? And the third is that always rehearse your resume. Rehearse your resume means you design the resume as I told you, right? So there will be so many things where you have played a game, where you have played smart. I'm not for example, I say my strength is I'm work alcoholic, because I have somewhere read in the company's profile where I am applying that they want very laborious people, right? And I say that I'm work alcoholic, though I am not, because I want to make a connect. I have made it work alcoholic, right? So I've written it. My resume is good, but they are also smart. Company knows that you have crafted this resume. It is not 100% real. You have smartly played, but they are happy that you have that sense. You know that you should be smart, right? But they will also test it, right? So if they ask you, okay, how do you think that being work alcoholic is, suppose I have written it as my weakness. How do you think that being work alcoholic is your weakness? It's a good thing. I can say that, yes, maybe for you it is a good thing, but for me it is a bad thing, because when I'm work alcoholic, I'm not able to give time to myself, right? But they want people work alcoholic. So see, the connect is formed. So you have to rehearse whatever you have written in your resume. You have to read it and be ready with the stories, what you have written. I have mentioned I have leadership traits. I should be ready with a story of leadership, because they might give you a situation, or they might ask you, okay, can you quote something where you have displayed your leadership traits? So where is the story? If I have written I have reading habits, they might ask you what you have recently read. Well, what is it all about? Right? So when you are crafting your resume, you should rehearse it, you should practice it, you should be ready with story, with all the points that you have included in it, so that you have the exact impression that you wanted to create. Yes.
Okay. We have a question from Sanhita. Ma'am, what is the purpose of mentioning my weakness?
See, there is no purpose there behind, because do you think everybody is all good? No, no. So
No.
yes.
Uh, like the resume is like, as you said, it is like an advertisement of myself, or like I'm just trying to present out myself. Then why would I want to present out my weaknesses to them?
To sound quite natural, you know, to sound quite natural. If I say I'm all good, nobody will believe. It's not possible that I can be all good. There will be, and when I say that this is my weakness, you know, right, then people understand, okay, I am being natural, right? I'm not, see, you are playing very smart. You know, when you are putting your weakness, you're playing very smart. You're not actually telling them your actual weakness, but you're also making them understand that you're not all good. Sangeeta, do I make some sense to you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Yes, please.
Okay, so we're just proceeding towards the end of the session. So my question is that aside from the topic, what are the most important things, ma'am, to remember during group discussions that we have one very important round before the PI? And what is the significance of sound modulation and time management, especially when we are participating in the questionnaire during the group discussion?
Okay, thank you so much. Again, now this is also like Shivangi in the beginning said that soft skills from the recent decades, this soft skills have got a momentum, you know, and so is the case with the group discussion. Earlier, group discussions were not the part of your placement drive, but now it is the mandatory round. Again, the primary objective is elimination, right? But the secondary and the most important objective is to test multiple skills. The soft skills, for example, I was talking about, there are 10 and more. You know, if you go to the internet, you may find 50 soft skills, right? But we cannot master all. So I say that 5 to 6 soft skills, if you master, that's good enough. You know, it is very difficult for a company to interview you and test all the 5 to 6 soft skills. It will take a lot of time. So, and group discussion is a practical situation where you cannot manipulate what you are, who you are, right? Because it is a situation, and they can test 5 to 6 most needed soft skills of yours, right? As Shivangi has asked me that what is the importance of voice modulation, and what is the importance of time management, and what are the important things that you need to take care in a GD. So the most important thing that you need to take care, which I feel that students, they are well prepared with the topic, no doubt, right? But you know, people are not focusing on abstract topics, and companies are coming up with abstract topics. Now we have abstract topic, we have technical topics, and we have case studies, right? Case study, in case of you are an MBA or you are going for an MBA, they give you a case, they give you 15 minutes of time, you study the case and then go for a discussion, right? But they give you technical, you all are well aware, technical topics, anything related to the technology, right? They do give you general topics, social awareness, or anything happening in current affairs, but they give you abstract topics also. For example, I know you know. Now this is a topic for the discussion. What to get out of it? I know you know, right? So, you know, the one thing I would like to tell to this Y generation people is that please start reading abstract topics, topics which make no sense, like zero. If I ask you to discuss for 10 minutes on zero, you can for 1 minute, for 2 minutes, for three, but 10 minutes, it's really very difficult. And everybody will be repeating the same thing, right? But then if you read about, and not reading about zero, read about anything. But how do you use that information here when you are talking about zero, right? It's very important that that creativity has to be there. So, you know, one is, and if you are good at speaking on abstract topic, I guarantee you that you can make two technical or case study. It's easy to speak on a technical topic, it's easy to speak on a case study, but it's really very difficult to speak on abstract topic. Zero, dot, black and gray, I know you know, right? Table, pen, these are abstract topics, you know, and there is the creativity. So start reading about different things, so that, and start connecting things. How can I, for example, if somebody asks me to speak on zero, I may say that zero is the bindi on a lady's forehead can also be termed as a zero. How did I get to connect zero with bindi? Because I use it, right? So, you know, you have to read different topics and then think, how can you connect? You are given a, that smartness has to be there, that when you are given a topic, how can you connect that information or that knowledge from there to connect with this, right? One is this. The another thing that is very important, which people don't care about, is the non-verbal. We practice a lot for verbal. We are learning vocabulary. Like in this complete session, I had questions on vocabulary, I had questions on communication, but I had no question on non-verbal. Whereas non-verbal is very, very important, you know. Why non-verbal means the expressions, the gestures, the postures, your communication, your words sound believable. People trust you, people believe you with the expressions because they complement your words. If I say, thank you so much, Shivangi will never feel that I am thankful. So there has to be an expression. Thank you, Shivangi. I really love this. Now, see my nodding of the head, my brightness in my eyes, you know, that makes Shivangi believe that, yes, I am thankful, right? And, you know, much is communicated through your body language. Even when you're not speaking, you're simply quiet. Your dress, your expressions, your postures, your gestures, they are expressing so many things. They are communicating so many things. So please take care of when you are in a group discussion, and you know, when you are in a group discussion, the situation becomes so casual that you lose your control over your non-verbal. For example, people start sitting like this. People start sitting like this. People start saying, you said this, you are wrong. Just pointing the finger. Negative. So have control, start, and you know, because nowhere in from our schooling to our college, nobody talked about non-verbal. But non-verbal is, I say, therefore, you know, there is a proverb that says that silence speaks more than words. Yes. You know, when you, many a times you might have observed that if you're not speaking to somebody, you're not speaking to your mom. She will keep on asking you, do you have any problem? Are you well? Do you have a headache? Have you told her? No, no. Why she's asking? Because your body is giving that message to her. Your expressions are giving that message to her. You know, so when you are in a group discussion, somebody is speaking and you're frowning. Evaluators are getting that you're not interested at all. Somebody is speaking, you're not nodding, you're not maintaining an eye contact. Evaluators are getting that you're not there. You are just going to speak your point. You're not listening to the other people. Right? So pay attention towards your body language, non-verbal, how you sit, how you stand, how you, when you speak something, is it reflected through your facial expressions? You know, if somebody comes to your class and says, good morning, today we are going to talk about group discussion, or we are going to talk about soft skills. Soft skills are very, will it make sense? After 5 minutes, you will not like to attend the lecture. How much intelligent the person is. But the moment the teacher starts with the expressions, you know, you can read the emotions, you can read the passion on the face or the gestures. You get connected, you feel lively, you attend the session, right? So when you are participating not only in the group discussion, when you are communicating to somebody, when you are giving a presentation, when you are giving a speech, please make sure that you have a good body language, a positive body language, assertive body language. Your non-verbal should not give wrong messages, right? So this is non-verbal, I want to say. And then one very important, third and very important thing you need to take care when you are in a GD especially, don't be individual. You are being evaluated at two levels, your individual self and you as a member of the group. So, you know, if somebody is not speaking, don't feel that I have spoken, I have done, I will get marked. No, you have to take some initiative. You have to involve that person because they are also looking, are you a team player? Because companies today want team players. Are you involving? If somebody is not working in your team, how do you respond to it? Do you complain about the person? Do you take out that person out from your team, or you find out the ways how can you involve that person, right? So please, when you are in a group discussion, pay emphasis on your individual self, but also play emphasis on the group dynamics. Direct the group, right? Involve the group. Be concerned about somebody speaking for a long, you are least bothered. Somebody speaking again and again, you are least bothered. No, take the initiative to guide the group, to show a right direction to the group. That will add to your points, right? So these three are the primary things which I want you to please focus when you are participating in a group discussion. And then the question was that I think Shivangi, I think you need to repeat the question. I speak a lot, so I forget. Uh, uh, it was about the group discussion, what things need to be taken care, and something else.
Maybe
you
about
asked.
the sound modulation and the
Yes.
time management.
Time management and voice modulation. Time management, very, very important, because I'm talking about non-verbal, I just now I said that non-verbal is very important, and voice modulation and time management are non-verbal. Non-verbal means, suppose you're talking to somebody, 80% what you are communicating is important. But then suppose I am telling a very good thing, but I keep on speaking. The person who was interested to talk to me earlier will at a time feel bored and will not talk to me. So I should have some limit of that. So when you are given a time limit, please stick to it, because if you exceed that time, suppose I have told to the audience, right, that you will have a class for 1 hour and the teacher keeps on speaking for 1.5 hours. The audience come prepared with 1 hour. After 1 hour, whether how much good important point is being discussed, they go off track, right? So please keep in mind the time, and it has, see, non-verbal has an indirect impact. The direct impact is what you are speaking. Nobody is sitting that if you are going to speak long, I am not going to say that you are a good speaker, but it plays a role. It impacts the receiver's impression of yours when you exceed the time limit, right? Same is the voice modulation. As I told you, that people believe you, right? If I keep everything, whatever is important, whatever is not important, what is to be highlighted, what is not to be highlighted, if I speak everything in one flat tone, do that make sense? When you write, right, somewhere you use a capital letter, somewhere you use a full stop, somewhere you use a comma, somewhere you underline, somewhere you use a black pen or a red pen, different colored pen. Why do you do that? Because you want people to focus on that, because you want people to register that, right, primarily. So when you speak, I cannot say that this is more very important, so please underline it, or this is in black. So how do people understand that what I am saying, what is more important, what is least important, what is to be registered more? That comes through your voice modulation. How do I speak, right? Do I change my pitch? Do I change my tone? Do I change my intonation? What is important? What is less important? What is to be highlighted? What is not? Where I am passionate about, right?
I think the network glitch occurred again. I'll just. Are there any questions apart from Bihar and Sanhita, who asked the questions? I saw no questions from other members. So are we done? Do you guys have any other questions? Because ma'am was about to complete the answer. You can drop them down in the chat box. You can even unmute and tell me, or we can proceed with the same if ma'am rejoins. Yeah, she's here.
Yes, so I was again out of the meeting.
Yeah, no problem, ma'am. You may continue now.
So I was talking about that, tone, the modulation. For example, one same sentence may have different meanings the way you speak. For example, I will give you one example, and with that I will end. I will give you one example. If I say, I bought a new car. Now, if you are a good listener, you can understand that my voice changed when I said bought. I bought a new car. See, bought is being emphasized. It means that I want you to think that I have bought a car, I have not hired it, I have not borrowed it, right? But if the same sentence I say, I bought a new car. Now this time the emphasis is on car. It means I want you to comprehend that I bought a car. I didn't buy a scooter. I didn't buy an aeroplane. I bought a car. So, this is the role of voice modulation. The way you change your tone, intonation, pitch, that talks about that alters the meaning. Plus, it also highlights what you want to say, where you are passionate, where you want people to give more importance to, what points are you highlighting. Your voice modulation will help you to do that, and it has a non-verbal impact on the audience, which is called paralinguistic, right? Okay, I think there is some question in the chat window. I think
Yes, there's a question by Sanhita. Is the use of keywords mentioned in the resume appreciated during an interview?
yes, 100%. You know, we have to, why interview? Why companies interviewing you? They want to know that how good you can fit into their world, right? So how do they know that you can fit into? If you tell them that you are the same as they are, they understand that you can fit into our culture. And one of the biggest reasons today people leaving the jobs, like companies are not throwing them out, people are themselves leaving the job because, and basically technical people, because they are not able to adapt that work culture, right? And soft skills is gaining momentum. This is only the reason, right? So if you use these keywords or phrases in your resume as well as in your introduction, in your interview, or in your about us section, when they ask you to tell us something because in about us you're not going to speak anything that you have spoken in your introduction. In a same interview, one question to a same candidate can be introduce yourself, and maybe after 2-3 questions they may say, tell us something about yourself. So you're not going to, about us is something different. About us is not the introduction. About us is not what you have written in your resume. About us is something which you have not written in your resume, is about something which you have not spoken in the introduction, about yourself as an individual, as a professional. And if you use these keywords or phrases there, the company can make a connect and they can have a favorable response for you.
Okay, I have one last question, and then we end the session. So, this is the towards the non-verbal side that I was about to ask. It's a very source of confusion among us what to wear towards an interview. Often, when we ask it, we are told wear something formal.
Yes.
What colors to keep in mind, so that we have the moment the interview person sees us, we have that assertion on them, that attention on them. So
Oh.
men and for women, what should be fine?
Thank you so much. Before I will be sharing a small incident. Before joining in, I had a message to Advantage India because today was Karwa Chauth. So and it was supposed to start at 6, and then I requested to start it at 6:30 because I was in a puja. And this is a custom that we have to be completely dressed up like a bride. You have to be over dressed up. So I wrote to Advantage India that I am overdressed, right? So will it do, because I don't have time to change and be there. See, again, yes, non-verbal dressing sense is one of the non-verbals which nobody is directly getting impacted by it, but indirectly, unconsciously, what you wear creates an impact, right? And talking about what to wear, what are the colors, I will say that when I talk about dressing sense, I don't say that go for the latest fashions or go for the costliest brands or go for the brands. I simply say that wear that suits your personality and that suits the occasion and the weather. If it is very hot and you wear a black suit, always looks nice, right? It's always considered to be very formal, right? But then when it's very hot, I will never suggest you to go and wear black. You should be taking pastel colors at that time. If you are very fat, I will never ask you to go for lighter shades. I will always ask you to go for the dark shades because that makes you look slimmer, right? So I cannot define what you should wear, because you have to look into your physique. What physique do you have? What complexion do you have? On your complexion, what colors will suit you? And according to the weather and the occasion. Formal means anything that is presentable, right? Like, for example, if this is a professional meeting, what I should have avoided? I should have avoided this earrings, right? I should have avoided this mehndi. I should have avoided this bandi, right? I should have avoided this bindi may go, lipstick may go, right? That may go, but maybe a nude color rather than being so vibrant. It can be a nude color, right? So professional means anything that is sober to present. And I think at this level, people are mature enough to differentiate between gaudy and sober. right? So less of the accessories, formal of the attire, and the attire should be neat and clean, well ironed, whether it is old or new, that hurt. And I strictly say no to new clothes. Don't buy a shirt today and wear it tomorrow, because it will never suit you. It will always be, you will always be busy with the uncomfort that it provides you. It's not, you will not feel very comfortable in a new, neither new shoes, neither new shirt. Girls, if you have never worn sari, I will never suggest you to go with a sari for an interview. Why? Because you will be very conscious, all the time conscious about your sari and not concentrating on your interview. Always wear the dress in which you are comfortable and that suits the occasion, that is neat and clean, well ironed, and suits your physique and personality. Go for the colors and basically less pattern clothes. Like boys, don't go for checks or lines, go for plain shirts, right? Plain pastel color shirts, right? Or maybe dark color, depending upon the occasion, depending on the weather, depending upon your physique, right? Not just avoid being very loud, right? Less of the accessories, minimize the accessories, right? That's
Very rightly said. I am done with the questions that I had, ma'am. I don't think any other queries are there. Otherwise, they would have been there in the chat box. I'm sure many of them, all of them were answered. So with that, it took more than an hour. We started at 6:30. Thank you so much, especially during the festival time. You gave us this time. It was really we are fortunate to have this insightful session. I truly got to learn a lot from the session today.
Thank you so much, Shivangi, and thank you, Advantage India. It's my proud privilege to be a part of it, because being a teacher, I don't know, but being a teacher, as I am a teacher, my biggest asset is that when I can deliver something worth to my students, if somebody can learn something from me, that will be more than a privilege to me. So thank you, Advantage India, for such a nice opportunity. Thank you, Shivangi, for being such a nice host. And thank you all the participants for being interactive, like posting your questions and being there. Yes, we are on an online platform where we cannot be all the time physically visible to each other due to the internet problems, but still I appreciate your patience and your participation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am. Once again, a very happy Indian festival season that we are approaching to everybody out there.
Yes.
Recording would be available on the YouTube channel. So any of your friends who would like to attend, you now know how an insightful and valuable session this was. So you can definitely share the video among your classmates and friends. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
It was glad to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Safe,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.